suddenly here he is faced with this huge story to cover. A guy was killed in a snowmobile accident, which could have happened anytime, of course. Sure. But because it happened then they attributes it to the storm. Yeah. Storm-related death. Details at 11. So we have it is indeed a killer storm. We can you know, it's one of those things where you made the formal designation. You wonder what he's thinking about. It's 21 after 7. I'm Simon Talking Sports, and here with all that stuff is one of the finest young sportscasters in this country. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it's mine. Mike Breen.
You saw Mike Francesa at Madison Square. The back end of the double dip this evening is your quarterfinals in the Big East.
Laurel and Hardy beat the Big East.
You got it.
I actually thought, I heard a couple of cups. I actually thought they were good. They did sound very good. They were
make the Big East.
Well, that's not the way you sound.
We're here at the Madison Square Garden Arena.
Stop making fun of my friend Mike Francesa.
That's right, Mikey.
Hey, dog, can you get me a dog, please? A hot dog or mustard, please?
Unbelievably, you eating every 5 minutes.
Do you have any more cuts?
Yeah.
All right, what's this now?
This has been an atrocious showing both ways right now.
John Wallace checks back in for Syracuse, who has the ball, in a 10-10 game. Also, was a bad pass by Lucius Jackson, who's also in for this Orangeman team, Archie. Jackson has, both will sit, by the way, for Syracuse, so it really could be struggling for some offense now. Archie's pop is good. So Adrian Archie hits his first jumper, 12-10 Orangeman. Yeah, his second jumper, he's got 4 points. Again, that's artificial from Stradback.
Hey, jump in there anytime, Mike.
Yes,
For somebody who doesn't do any games, just to step in there and do a game out of that, I thought they were good.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Russo's not good. You can't understand him, but
It's easy to listen to.
they had fun. Light tone, yeah.
In the house of the mayor of New York, you do not dress in the always fashionable youthful felon look.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
And one more quick thing, Don. I don't know what etiquette book you were reading, but generally speaking, when the soup course is served, it is not considered appropriate to spit your Nicorette gum in your right hand.
What the hell are these kids seeing this? Of course, you have all these child psychologists saying that it's the non-threatening entertainment that appeals to the little tykes. And I'm thinking, well, let's make it more threatening then. Have Barney do a Jurassic Park wig out and eat one of these kids. Come on, Bard, you're a carnivore. See that little girl singing I Love Hugs? Pick her up in your giant jaws and tear her to shreds in them razor-sharp teeth of yours. Oh, no. I don't know. Now I know the real reason why dinosaurs became extinct. Yeah. They were a bunch of pussies. And what the hell the kids see in Mr. Rogers? Well, maybe it's me, but I don't understand the appeal of some nerdy minister type in a cardigan sweater singing, "You are special." Right. He's supposed to be some kind of a role model? For what? Potential NAMBLA members? No. You can't tell me this guy don't have a few special friends from the neighborhood locked up in his basement. Oh, no. So apparently they're having this congressional hearing to make sure kids' TV is regulated properly. And here's Sherry Lewis in front of Congress with lamb chop. And all of a sudden the puppet says she wants to testify. Hey, Sherry, I got a news bulletin for you. It's a sock, okay? You've been talking to your hand a little too long. It's not a real deal. It's got buttons for eyes. Don't that give you a clue? Sherry says she's so close to lamb chop, she actually thinks it's talking to her. Hey, David Berkowitz had the same problem with his dog, but I don't think they're about to give him his own show on Nickelodeon. I refuse to believe that this non-intimidating programming is the answer with children's television. I mean, whatever happened to the classics, the cartoons, the mouse sticking the firecracker up the cat's head? What was wrong with that? It taught kids reality. It taught kids the truth. It prepared them for adulthood, made them understand that life sucks and then you die. Forget all the I love you, you love me crap. I got a song for you, Barney. I hate you, you hate me. Let's all kill your family. Cause your daddy's drunk and your mommy's smoking crack. Let's give grandma cardiac. Boom!
Stop in there. Yeah, I'm just going to program. All the little kids on with Barney, all the little boys looks like, one Well, they're going to grow up to either be Sal Mineo or... oh, God.
Imus in the morning on the fan.
I'm not a homosexual, please. Okay, then what were you doing in a bar where there were only men dancing with each other? Stop to have a 7-Up. Who's pouring the wine? God almighty. Well, usually people from Texas are kind of, they're down to earth. Oh, they're a bunch of queers. I suppose it was Billy Taylor. It's the entertainment portion of the WFAN broadcast day. WFAN now presents the rest of its programming schedule. 19 and 1/2 hours of imbecilic prattle between contemptibly limited provincial program hosts, talking on the telephone to a band of 13 equally insignificant housebound agrophobes with sports obsessions. The entertainment portion of the WFAN broadcast day will resume at 5:30 tomorrow morning.
This is the 50,000-watt clear channel voice of the Mets, Jets, Knicks, Rangers, and St. John. The Fan. Sports Radio 66, WFAN, New York.
18 degrees as we approach 10:04. Good morning. This is Mike Breen with the latest 66 WFAN sports news. Starting times for this...
After 10 o'clock on the scene. Good morning, everybody. A Monday morning here in New York City. I and Eagle the Birdman with you until 2 o'clock. Mike and the Magi will come your way then, along with Brian Walsh and Mike Hayes. Good to be with you this week. And we're back 10:38.
Imus in the morning on the Fan.
Even in this conversation, you're making me sick.
Why?
But you want to know what's a good healthcare plan?
What?
If somebody shoots you with a tranquilizer dart.
WFAN New York. Peking Pirates. Good evening. It's 28 degrees at 6 o'clock. This people ever. Almost as good as McCord. I mean, in some cases, he's trying to calm down. It sounds like I'm fucking a dog here.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
Anyway, can we talk about the tournament?
No, I went up to that production meeting that Hollander called last week. There were so many people in the room. I said, what's going on? I thought Imus's wake was up there.
One, big dance, man. Richard Nixon's Final Four, okay? Whittier, Wright State, Vanderbilt, Holy Cross, and Holy Cow. Or, in other words, who gives a shit? Right. 10 learning disabled leaping Negroes throw a ball through a hoop while waiting for the Reebok man to knock on the door with fists full of cash. No, sir. Football's always been Dick Nixon's game, J.D. A man's event. Speaking of men, where did you set out the big storm? Well, we're bringing the corner of another ostentatious Anne Mullenized room at your cottage in Southport. Well, as you know, I've seen all your southwestern motif there, Dano. Right. The earth tones, the tribal trimmings, totems, etc. Right. You really are about one ritual removed from becoming one of those new age, Sondheim whistling, shrieking fruits, aren't you? Your inner king has lost its way, man. All right, issue 2. Yeah. Your pathetic attempt, then, to regain masculinity by currying favor with the Native Americans of Connecticut. In the first place, what kind of Indian lives in Connecticut? Chief beating market and his wife's rising dividend, picking winner and selling short? Pardon me, J.D., but I don't think so. Of course, may I hasten to add that if they actually are able to put together this casino deal, and they'd like to work out an endorsement arrangement with a fellow who was once the great leader of the White Eyes, that would be me, of course, for 10 off the top of $100 million, I'd sit in a sweat lodge between Al Sharpton and Heavy D for crying out loud. So keep me posted on how all that's going, okay? Issue 3, by the way. I'm working on a logo concept with your brother, Fred. Really? Sure. See what you think. It's a bucking 1957 Chevrolet, see? Being ridden by a screaming penis in a Stetson who we call Achy Breaky Snaky. A Dick Fred production. Well, that's it, man. No politics, just direct marketing this time around from Fred Imus and Richard Nixon. The latter, of course, a former president of the United States.
Imus in the morning.
Well, Charles.
Forget about the dial. You don't know where the hell you are, period.
Anyway, coming to you live from the Hard Rock, here is Scott Finney. Scotto.
Got up a little early the other day, put on the TV, and there's this big purple Tyrannosaurus Rex that looks a lot like Willard Scott, doing a soft shoe with a Triceratops wearing mascara and a bib. For a second, I thought I was having a flashback from all that brown acid I did at Woodstock.
Yeah.
Turns out it's just this kids show called Barney. And whoever thought this thing up must have done more window pane at one sitting than I ever did in my entire lifetime. I can't believe this. Here's this big, fat cretin from the Cretaceous period singing politically correct lyrics to public domain melodies with a cast of the most insipid child actors you've ever seen. What the hell are these kids seeing this Of course, you have all these child psychologists saying that it's the non-threatening entertainment that appeals to the little tykes. And I'm thinking, well, let's make it more threatening then. Have Barney do a Jurassic Park wig out and eat one of these kids. Come on, Bard, you're a carnivore. See that little girl singing I Love Hugs? Pick her up in your giant jaws and tear her to shreds and then razor-sharp teeth of yours.
No.
I don't know. Now I know the real reason why dinosaurs became extinct.
Yeah.
They were a bunch of pussies. And what the hell do kids see in Mr. Rogers?
Well,
maybe it's me, but I don't understand the appeal of some nerdy minister type in a cardigan sweater singing, "You are special."
Right.
He's supposed to be some kind of a role model? For what? Potential NAMBLA members?
No.
You can't tell me this guy don't have a few special friends from the neighborhood locked up in his basement.
Oh, no.
So apparently they're having this congressional hearing to make sure kids' TV is regulated properly.
Right.
And here's Sherry Lewis in front of Congress with lamb chop. And all of a sudden the puppet says she wants to testify. Hey, Sherry, I got a news bulletin for you. It's a sock, okay? You've been talking to your hand a little too long. It's not a real deal. It's got buttons for eyes. Don't that give you a clue? Sherry says she's so close to Lamb Chop, she actually thinks it's talking to her. Hey, David Berkowitz had the same problem with his dog, but I don't think they're about to give him his own show on Nickelodeon. I refuse to believe that this non-intimidating programming is the answer with children's television. I mean, whatever happened to the classics, the cartoons, the mouse sticking the firecracker up the cat's ass? What was wrong with that? It taught kids reality. It taught kids the truth. It prepared them for adulthood. Made them understand that life sucks and then you die. Forget all the I love you, you love me crap. I got a song for you, Barney. I hate you, you hate me. Let's all kill your family, 'cause your daddy's drunk and your mommy's smoking crack. Let's give grandma cardiac. Boom! Imus in the morning.
Scott Finney here on the Imus in the Morning program. So Barney is out in Omaha.
Passage of the wire to the ventricle, it may make the heart irritable, and the patient may develop an arrhythmia, which requires treatment. Another very, very rare complication is that the pacemaker wire itself may perforate the heart.
That would be a complication. Yeah, I would think so, Doc. Poke a hole in your heart. Yeah, I'd call that a complication. Well, Les Aspen has never looked like he's healthy to me. He just looks like...
Of them all, 6-1.
To him, what's your problem? Dylan says he'd help warm mud if you held it in your hand. Personally, I draw the line at bestiality. So she gets all bent out of shape and threatens to loosen the rivets on his bike. So the next day when I pick up the paper and I see about the accident, the first thing I think of is... What? We're on. Oh. That was Dusty Springfield, wishing and hoping. Scottso here with you, and you do a lot of that when you're sitting with the ceaselessly tiring Don Imus. A lot of wishing and hoping. Passed the newsstand today and saw Sharon Stone on the cover of some magazine, naked with her hands over her mamumbas. And I'm thinking, I didn't know Popular Mechanics had a swimsuit issue. So is she going to go the Madonna route now? Is that the story there? Do one of those exhibitionist books? Check Out My Ass by Sharon Stone. Not that I mind that sort of thing, but I'm a little old-fashioned when it comes to naked ladies. I believe something should be left to the imagination. I want to come away wishing I could see more, not looking at everything you can without the aid of a speculum. That'll be fine. A woman should have an air of mystery surrounding her. She should have secrets. Not big ones, you know, like the chicken the crying game. That's one of those surprises you just don't need in your life, huh? Although I imagine that'd probably be one of the most difficult situations a woman could be faced with. Telling her boyfriend he hasn't. Apparently, there seems to be a lot of speculation about what the person who plays this chick, Jay Davidson, is going to wear to the Oscars. Oh, I don't know. I guess a jockstrap would be a pretty safe bet. I find it a little difficult to conceive, but evidently it's not uncommon for a man to have a relationship with a woman completely oblivious to the fact that she is not what she appears to be.
Right.
Sometimes for years. I mean, if you're living with a woman and instead of maxi pads and Midol in her medicine cabinet, she's got aftershave and Cruex, you got a little problem. I tell you, this blurring of the definitions of sexual roles is really starting to get on my nerves. There are no rules when it comes to what makes a man or a woman or a relationship nowadays, you know? Yes, me, this whole problem started the day we stopped going out to kill the meat. But we can't do that anymore because they've turned the meat into babes. Have you seen the new improved Borden spokeswoman, the Elsie of the 90s? As a rule, I try not to drink milk from anyone or anything that turns me on. Just a little too edible for me, you know what I mean? It ain't normal to get a boner over a cow. That is, unless you live in a state that's got a vowel at the end of its name, or you happen to be you.
It's coming up at 6:40. Could you please hold it down out there?
Give me a break.
I man, want that brown sugar, man.
Man, ain't gonna get that brown sugar, baby.
Oh, man, you know you'd give it up for the I-Man in a heartbeat. For a bobblehead doll.
You
won't?
won't?
Let's see.
Second. Why would I waste my time on a rubberneck rodent like you?
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
You ought to be riding around that limo, wouldn't you?
I don't want to ride anywhere with you. Do us a favor and push up some posies, okay?
The brother of the President of the United States. Here's Roger. Good morning, Roger.
Hey, you know this guy Waco?
Yeah.
You know how they're blasting these tapes at Tibetan chants at him 24 hours a day trying to get him come out? Why don't they just put on some Starland vocal bands? It'll be on the damn heartbeat.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
Hey, let me ask you something. You know what would happen if a person were to take about 12 Percodan, 5 Xanax, and then drink half a bottle of NyQuil? Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Indiana and Louisville. That's when CBS will go on the air, we hope.
Okay.
Who knows? Probably show you highlights of that Seton Tennessee State game.
And then California and Kansas?
No. You're going to get Kentucky and Kentucky and Wake Forest will be the game at 9:50, and then you will see the second half of Cal, Kansas, which will begin at 10:30. So Indiana, Louisville at 8, Kentucky against Wake Forest will be the second game, and then before they...
You're awful.
Hello. At 6:15. Now you promised me that when you could throw these little munchkins in there, that they would not blow up my carts.
I know that.
You promised me.
I'm sorry.
You let me down.
I said I'm sorry. As soon as it recused, we'll play it.
Can't be doing that.
We won't be doing it anymore. In fact, why don't you just start the story over again?
No, I don't want it. It's too boring.
Well, then what are we playing the cut for?
I'm not going to play it. Start the story. Anyway,
Is it recused? Okay, let's hear it.
game over.
He got screwed. I think that's a bad call. You know, I don't think who else you can call a foul when he set the pick on Doc. Obviously, it was a very hard pick.
Why do you get me here to work this morning if you're going to do this?
Could you listen to that? I got
I just told you. Now we're in big trouble. Now we're in big trouble.
I'm begging you. We don't want to hear hockey. I'm begging you.
Football news? How about that?
Okay.
Monday, Dan Reeves and...
I'm in. What up, home flight? Hey, how you doing, Lupica?
I'm fine, Dan. How are you?
All right, you're my man, but you're so short you could be a bank teller at the piggy bank.
Okay, Dennis, don't call the show, okay?
Nah, you're my man. I'm with a kid. You know that. Handball at the curb. Yeah, you can play Tarzan on his shoelaces also.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
Did you ever read the National, Dennis?
Oh, yeah. The other guy. Fella right over here in Brownsville, you know. Right next to
We didn't go that deep into Brownsville, did we, Dennis? See, when you go in that store, though, you got to buy a bag of weed before you get to it.
Brett Hume. Steve Cohen is here, the real Steve Cohen. Good morning, Steve. Good morning. Eileen claims she was a virgin when you,
Yours? No. Doesn't give us a position.
This is so humiliating.
The thing that I want to know is, were you a virgin when you gave yourself away to that Marine?
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
How about oral sex?
Now, how about you? How's that going in your department?
I have sex with her all the time.
Good.
Yeah. But I mean, she's 80 years old. So, or whatever she is.
80.
She's like a senior citizen.
Is it better with the teeth in or with the mouth?
In the morning on the Fan, Voice Radio 66, WFAN.
On April 1st.
Voice Radio 66, WFAN.
After the longest...
And Highway Patrol.
Voice Radio 66, the Fan.
It is 11:35 on a Sunday morning here in the big city. Steve Levy with you up in... And welcome to the afternoon on this... Still lousy out, actually raining? No? Cloudy? Yucky? A lousy Sunday then. After a great day yesterday. Steve Levy with you. Well, excuse me, I was just listening on NBC. Charles Barkley was just introduced to the crowd at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The Phoenix Suns making their first visit, and just like the Knicks get Doc Rivers back tonight.
I would only say his name was X, demanded that quote-unquote Denzel Washington better get Best Actor tonight. We don't exactly know what it means, who made the call, but authorities are checking that out, and security is getting tighter. The latest on the J. Davidson attire tonight, floral print moo-moo and fishnet stockings. You know, hang on, what? Do we have confirmation? Donna, we've just received word a truck has pulled up backstage carrying Billy Crystal's ego. They're beginning to unload it even as we speak. Once again, the rather large ego of tonight's host, Billy Crystal, has just arrived. Man, it's starting to get a little... Hang on, what? No, I left my... I'm the correspondent for the Imus and... Don Imus. Yeah, the guy with the 10,000 hamburgers, right? Yeah. I don't have my credentials. Don, I gotta sign off my work.
And it's time for the news. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning, guy, man. It is 52 degrees.
Level Sports. Good morning, Steve. All-pro defensive end Reggie White still trying to decide where he's going to play football next year. But Reggie says that he will wait until he gets a sign from God.
You know, that may not be where God wants me to go.
Here's another nut job like this guy in Waco.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
I wonder what Allah thinks. I was 15 minutes this morning deciding which socks God wanted me to wear. That's why I was late. Been another 15 minutes trying to bend over and get them on, right?
In the morning on the Fan, Voice Radio 66, WFAN.
With a 2-inch vertical. Hey, I bet you the number will be pretty close to the one on that national debt clock on 42nd Street. Still, it's the Hollywood Night of Nights. The glitterati will be out in full force. Army Archer will be there again, as he has for the last 85 years, interviewing the arriving stars in his formal hairpiece and bar mitzvah tuxedo.
Right.
What a magic moment it'll be when he leans in to talk to Martha Ray while the crowd waits to see whose dentures come loose first. Tonight, they'll be saluting women's contributions to the film industry. And speaking of that, I wonder if Kim Basinger will show up, as it looks like she'll be making a $9 million contribution. Guess they'll be holding one hell of a bake sale in that backwater town she owns.
Right.
It appears that a legal precedent has been set in show business law, one in which oral contracts must be honored.
Yeah.
And the fact that Kimmy is the one setting it is somewhat apropos,
Yeah.
seeing as that was probably the way she got into show business in the first place. Orally. Speaking of show business contracts, the new 10 to 2 slot on radio station WFAN was slated to be filled by Lupica and Lenny.
Yeah.
Berman, that is.
Right.
Then it wasn't. Then it was again. Make up your f***ing mind. Apparently, Apparently, the momentary stumbling blocks had to do with Lenny's inability to take the Imus heat, the fact that Mike Lupiger was going to treat his co-host like he was a guest on his show, and the fact that Lupiger was probably making 3 times the money for half the time. That and the fact that Berman realized he'd actually have to sit in the studio with Lupiger for 2 hours. Why the sudden change of heart, you ask?
Yeah.
Why would Berman, so sensitive to the I-Man's Jew remark, all of a sudden decide to honor the contract? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps Berman's Jew agent got scared by the threat of a lawsuit by WFAN's Jew lawyer. Art Kaminsky must be held somewhat accountable for this mess, as he represents both quote-unquote talent.
Yeah.
He's not exactly Mike Ovitz now, is he?
No.
What other genius bookings was he responsible for? David Duke opening for Ice-T at Radio City Music Hall? Freddie Roman at the Palestine Hilton? Marley Maitland doing a radio spot for Hooked on Phonics?
Smith, we're not going to go to 10:30. Make them get their own ratings.
Yeah.
Why should we? Because if we're spilled over to that half hour, why do you have to perform for them? What do you have to do? Jump through their hoop? I'm in. Is that the thing?
So.
What?
Nose.
Sissy boy.
Panty waist.
Patty waist, girly man, Len Berman. God, what a
Oh, man.
Fruit Loop. What a creep.
Boner nose.
Look at poor Francesa. What he has to go through.
All right.
Oh. You know the deal about
Wow.
Francesa? Francesa's got some brains, that's all. And he understands what the deal is.
Yeah.
Even though he's a stooge, at least he knows what the deal is.
He's a brainy stooge.
Yeah. I laughed all weekend. But Francesa saying, well, gee, can't they just retire? Can't you do that with...
Well,
That's a rhetorical question, by the way, not requiring one of your labored Byzantine replies. So can it?
Fine.
Now then, J.D., a few matters to consider this morning.
Oh, okay.
Issue 1, and the overriding issue of the week, in my view, the pending Berman-Lupiger radio show. Or, look, Mom, they're broadcasting World War III. I was gratified, to say the least, to see that you've been doing your compassionate best to play the role of Boutros Ghali, trying so diplomatically to smooth the path here for the new team.
Right.
I hate to speak to you in such a harsh manner, Dotto, but you are, without any reservation, the #1 biggest, most perfect jerk I have ever seen. With, of course, one obvious burning exception.
And that would be?
Len Berman. You. Now Dick Nixon's calling him a jerk.
Uh-oh.
How about that, Lenny, eh? So what are you going to do about it, balcony beak? I mean, tell me the truth, man. Is that really his nose, or did he catch a f***ing boomerang between his eyes? You know, I always wondered why Channel 4 didn't sell space on that sucker to Kleenex or Grisdad or somebody. Lupiger could get out of the rain standing under that overhang, couldn't he? Say, there's a great picture for you. They're out there doing a fan remote at a parking lot at Shea. It's raining, and there's Lupiger sticking a microphone in Hojo's face and staying dry by standing in the lee of Len Berman's nose. Anyway, at least there are no egos involved in this project. About like you dumped Donald Trump in a cage with John Sununu. Now, I believe I'm up to speed on the official line here, so far as we're concerned. We're on Lupiger's side in this matter.
Right.
If only because Berman is a dark, brooding malevolence skulking through our lives like a diseased rodent, right? And it's our mission to make him get air bubbles in his arteries. Am I correct about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hey, speaking of that, and digressing for a moment, where's the fat sports guy?
What?
Well, I'm confused. Was his name Steve McDonald or Steve who worked at McDonald's? Hey, gods, what a lard farm, huh?
That'll be fine.
But back to the bottom-feeding fungus. Berman's initial on-air appearance is imminent, as you know, and having to sit in a confined studio with a loopster, and after you're through with him, I say he has Barbara Bush eyes and neck veins out to here before they can take their first phone call. Issue 2.
Yeah.
Ticket, please, to Sarasota Downs for FBI agent Bob Ricks down there in Waco.
Yeah.
Agent Ricks has concluded that David Koresh is becoming delusional. Hello, Mr. Ricks. He thinks he's Jesus Christ, Bob, not Jesus the hack from Ozone Park, but Jesus, as in Son of God. And you think he may be getting delusional? No way. Jesus. What's the FBI issuing for brain matter? Dental floss? Oh, that reminds me. A final aside for those Yale lecturers who wrote the Trade Center bomb letter to the Times. I read your letter. And I think we can find a place for you right here, writing ad copy for the fan. You listed your demands. Here's mine. No more communication till you heads get your GED. And that's this Dick's opinion, Dick Nixon, of course, a former president of the United States.
Imus in the morning.
Say 30 there. Yeah, what is that? It's good coffee. Well, can we get some of it? Sure.
up on the second floor.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
Oh, who's the intern today?
Laura.
Go get me some coffee, young lady.
May I have a cup?
And get Chuck some coffee, too. He likes a little cream in his, baby.
Yeah.
A little cream in it, you know what I'm saying?
Don't spit in Chuck's, though.
See what?
Don't mix them up.
In the morning on the Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Because I'm a
I like that.
I'm not in a good mood today, dog. The candy machine is broken.
Good morning, sir.
Not my type.
Pablo's too fat to have sex anymore.
Only quite a few times, right? You can learn some new positions with all this weight.
You have to look at the position. Of course you do. Obviously, one of the positions would be having sex while eating.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
You know, you're making a mistake now wearing your headphones because Bernard and Lou out there saying hideous things about that.
I'll bet they are.
Bernard doing his Pablo Guzman.
Yo, what's up, man?
In the morning on the Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Political analyst Richard M. Nixon.
My man, the I-Man.
I'm David Brinkley of ABC News.
I'm Walter Cronkite, once the principal anchorman of CBS. Now, a nothing, a cipher, just playing out the string. And I'm Don Imus, broadcasting's answer to Dr. Jack Kevorkian. And if you don't believe me, just ask Len Berman. Here now the news.
First, though, late developments since the Sunday morning papers.
No, it's not Sunday.
That's all right. I'm not really David Brinkley. Rumors are continuing to be heard inside the Washington Beltway regarding marital disharmony in the White House of Bill and Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Uh-oh.
The intensity of the gossip, in fact, reached such a pitch today that the president has been forced to go before the media. Let's switch live to the White House right now, where Mr. Clinton has just stepped before reporters.
Good morning. I have just a brief statement to clarify the situation. Hillary and I continue to enjoy a very warm and affectionate relationship. Each of us clearly understands our roles. She, the First Lady, me, the President, and then... Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I just meant to convey that we're co-equals is what I meant to say, and that I couldn't do this without you. And I was only saying that you're the proverbial woman, you know, who's behind every good man, and... Jesus. Well, yeah.
Speaking of Jesus, the cult led by self-styled Messiah David Koresh grew by 1 overnight at Waco, Texas, when Richard Gere joined the compound and declared to the world that he is John the Baptist. Meantime, in a last-ditch attempt to reach cult leader Koresh, the government today drew on the extraordinary communication skills of populist billionaire and Texan H. Ralph Perot, asking him to try to speak to Koresh via a megaphone. Perot arrived at the compound moments ago with his longtime friend, the broadcaster Larry King.
David, or Vernon, or Jesus, whoever you are, it's Ross Perot. Let's fix this thing. I'll get right down to where the rubber meets the road. You're crazy. You're a f***ing loon, son. Online, no ticket. Crackers. Now this has gone on long enough. Time to call it a ball game. I'm sending in my good friend Larry King. You surrender to him, you'll be fine. It's just that simple. Larry, go ahead on in. Well, now that's just sad. Dave, you ever watch Geraldo?
In Hollywood, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is being sued after Oscar night host Billy Crystal took a step no other awards host had done by speaking directly to some of the stars in the audience, Clint Eastwood and Jack Nicholson among them, as the diminutive Jew tried to further suck up to filmdom's elite. Nicholson filed the legal action early today after Crystal tried to pass himself off as a close friend of the actor, which Nicholson vehemently denied, speaking with reporters.
I hate the little bastard, okay? I'm not his friend. I have no friends. I don't want any. But least of all, that oily little freak. A tank top and 40 pounds, he's Richard Simmons. Don't touch me.
Imus in the morning.
Jack Nicholson here in the Imus Morning Program, A21.
Starts to fight acid as soon as it hits your stomach. Riopan. For the next time you have heartburn, I leave Marchese Cohen for the 9X Mobile Fan Highway Patrol at 829.
No, it's time. Thank you, Patrick.
Aggressive getting the rebounds, and he tried to give me a bruise.
Now, Coleman could face a fine or a suspension from the league office.
Let me tell you what the problem with Len Berman is, and the only problem is this, and it would have been...
You know, there are so many of you out there listening to the sound of my voice, if we could all just unite our minds right now and send a love message to Cindy Crawford and tell her that her husband is a f***ing nut job and is no good for her. She should leave him because she belongs with me. Maybe, just maybe, he'll let her go. Did you see that the other night? I tell you, Richard Gere spent entirely too much time with the Dalai Lama. I'm starting to think he really does have that gerbil, except it's in his head. You know, on one of those exercise wheels. I don't know, but if it were me and I had the power, I wouldn't channel my positive energy to send a psychic memo to Deng Xiaoping. I'd use it to send an order to Cam Sen Gardens for some duck chow fan. Or one of those spicy Hunan chicken deals, you know, with those little teeny corn cobs. Speaking of little teeny corn cobs, I'd like to welcome Mike Lupica to the Brotherhood of Radio Broadcasters. Mike is one half of the Loopy and Lenny program on WFAN, and no, it's not an April Fool's joke. They're really serious about this. Although I would imagine you'd probably rather send your 10-year-old daughter to go hang out with the Spur Posse than listen to these two. They should seriously think about syndicating this mess to Waco. That nut chorus will be out front with his hands up in about 30 seconds. First of all, I don't quite understand the concept of a show whose hosts are never in the studio on the air at the same time. What is this, tag team radio? But I think it's good that they start off not liking each other, because that way they'll have a realistic handle on how the listening audience feels. I can't decide who's going to be the most tedious, Pee-wee or Proboscis. I mean, at least when you're reading one of his monotonous columns in Esquire in the Daily News, you don't have to hear the supercilious superiority in his voice. And as far as Berman is concerned, I don't know how that spanning the planet thing he stole off Marv Albert is going to play. I mean, a pitcher taking a line drive in the nuts kind of loses a little something on the radio, don't you think? Yes. The FCC should spend a little less time being concerned with offensive radio program content and focus more on offensive radio program hosts. I mean, the airwaves have got to be regulated. You just can't put anyone on the air. Why do you think they won't let Jack Kevorkian have his own show? Well, I guess it's because FAN already hired Lupica and Berman. Come to think of it, these two are going to fit in very well with the rest of the programming schedule. This adult contemporary kill-yourself format. You know, between them, Francesa and Russo, and that Boo Radley you have on overnight, Steve Summers, it's a wonder the listening audience is still alive by the time you get on the air, Imus. Hey, do us a favor, will you? Start listening to the station, okay? Just a couple of hours. We're begging you.
38, 22.
That's the album, get off there. He was talking real kids, and I shut up, and as he walked away, he hit me in my scrotum, like balls, so to speak. So it was a retaliation, but I just, punched him in his face.
Reminds me of the great Kinky Friedman song, My Scrotum Flew Tourist.
7-11.
This is Bernadette Castrogano.
Good morning, Mr. Imus. How are you?
Good. I thought you might want to take this opportunity to, because Saul Wackler, we have learned, is listening to the radio.
Don't start with me.
You're a woman who believes in aliens, aren't you?
I will make no comment on that.
Don't you?
I will make no comment
Don't you believe that there are life forms on other planets and that you communicate with them, don't you?
I'm not going to comment on that.
We're not alone.
People that don't know me will think I'm nuts.
No. Oh, really? They're kidding.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning on the Fan.
Okay, I will give another message to him now.
Okay.
I would say, Saul, there's a life after this. You can teach. You can teach. You can write. There's a life after this episode for Saul Wackler.
He's been writing. Write those notes, too. What's they going to teach? Sex education is already sending condoms to 14-year-olds.
Imus in the morning on the Fan, Sports Radio 66, WFAN.
Who wanted to listen to, son? Short Al talking to Short Mike. That's magic, Hoss. Hey, has Arbitron called yet? Saying to get those new guys off the air because they're burning up their damn audience meters? No, I don't think so. But what the hell? Give it time, son. Because I think you got some historic changes underway at your radio station, Imus.
Really?
Adding Mike Lupica and Len Berman to your studio stable. And let me say right up front that there won't be no short stuff jokes, no nose lines out of Elvis Presley. Okay. Look here, we're all God's creatures, son. And it ain't no individual's fault if God's sense of humor sometimes gets the best of his infinite wisdom and he decides to hang a dorsal fin on somebody and call it a nose, or make somebody real cute, but then sticks him on a pair of chihuahua legs. Well, anyway, I'll listen to that first couple hours. Geez, talk about the day the music died. There went sports talk, man. I hate to be so damn negative about it, but I got to go with the flow here. I wrote a little tune about it. Goes like this. Well, I called Len and Mike. My review ain't a rave. What the hell happened to Ed and Dave? Hey, when all this blows up, who'll they stick in there next? Beavis and Butthead? Amy and Joey? Richard Gere and the French Tibetans? Man, that Berman's a little on the touchy side, ain't he?
Well, sort of.
You know how I blowed away my damn TV back there one time?
Yeah, sure.
Well, this is the first time I can recall wanting to blow the hell out of my radio. But like I said, I'm going to sit back here and cut him some slack before I just entirely Frank Rich him to death. So let me get out of here so I can get set for him again coming up here in a little while. I got a tune to quit on about the tough life of being an entertainment judge. Let's see here. Well, I want to be objective, but reviewing is a burden. So far, it's 2 thumbs up, Len Berman, but don't you shoot your radio. It can't last long. Don't shoot your radio.
Imus in the morning.
And now live from upstairs in our traffic department.
Oh, jeez.
Not the traffic department. What do you do?
The credit manager, the credit manager.
The credit manager.
Could you get that right?
Fine.
I'm so upset.
This concludes the entertainment portion of the WFAN broadcast day. WFAN now presents the rest of its programming schedule. 19 and 1/2 hours of imbecilic prattle between contemptibly limited provincial program hosts, talking on the telephone to a band of 13 equally insignificant housebound agrophobes with sports obsessions. The entertainment portion of the WFAN broadcast day will resume at 5:30 tomorrow morning.
This is the 50,000-watt clear channel voice of the Mets, Jets, Knicks, Rangers, and St. John. The Fan. Sports Radio 66, WFAN, New York. WFAN 2020 Sports.
41 degrees at 10:01. Good morning. This is Mike Breen. It may not be...
Sports Radio 66, WFAN, New York.
And good morning, everybody, at 10:04 on WFAN in New York City. I am Mike Lupica, and inviting you on another 2-hour journey through the world of big-time sports radio. I am sitting here with my friend Mike Breen today. Did you see that nice story about Francesa in Thursday? Nice, big, long feature on Francesa.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. I was wondering.
Nice for Fan to get a little publicity.
10:56 on the Fan. This is Mike Lupica with Fred Wilpon, who...
Hell you are, period.
Anyway, going to you live from the Hard Rock. Here is Scott Benny. Scotto.
Got up a little early the other day, put on the TV, and there's this big purple Tyrannosaurus Rex that looks a lot like Willard Scott doing a soft shoe with a Triceratops wearing mascara and a bib. For a second, I thought I was having a flashback from all that brown ass that I did at Woodstock. Turns out it's just this kids show called Barney. And whoever thought this thing up must have done more window pane at one sitting than I ever did in my entire lifetime. I can't believe this. Here's this big, fat cretin from the Cretaceous period singing politically correct lyrics to public domain melodies with a cast of the most insipid child actors you've ever seen. What the hell are these kids seeing this Of course, you have all these child psychologists saying that it's the non-threatening entertainment that appeals to the little tykes. And I'm thinking, well, let's make it more threatening then. Have Barney do a Jurassic Park wig out and eat one of these kids. Come on, Bard, you're a carnivore. See that little girl singing I Love Hugs? Pick her up in your giant jaws and tear her to shreds and then razor-sharp teeth of yours. Oh, no. I don't know. Now I know the real reason why dinosaurs became extinct. Yeah. They were a bunch of pussies. And what the hell do kids see in Mr. Rogers? Well, maybe it's me, but I don't understand the appeal of some nerdy minister type in a cardigan sweater singing, "You are special." Right. He's supposed to be some kind of a role model? For what? Potential NAMBLA members? No. You can't tell me this guy don't have a few special friends from the neighborhood locked up in his basement. Oh, no. So apparently they're having this congressional hearing to make sure kids' TV is regulated properly. Right. And here's Sherry Lewis in front of Congress with lamb chop, And all of a sudden, the puppet says she wants to testify. Hey, Sherry, I got a news bulletin for you. It's a sock, okay? You've been talking to your hand a little too long. It's not a real deal. It's got buttons for eyes. Don't that give you a clue? Sherry says she's so close to Lamb Chop, she actually thinks it's talking to her. Hey, David Berkowitz had the same problem with his dog, but I don't think they're about to give him his own show on Nickelodeon. I refuse to believe that this non-intimidating programming is the answer with children's television. I mean, whatever happened to the classics, the cartoons, the mouse sticking the firecracker up the cat's head? What was wrong with that? It taught kids reality. It taught kids the truth. It prepared them for adulthood, made them understand that life sucks and then you die. Forget all the I love you, you love me crap. I got a song for you, Barney. I hate you, you hate me. Let's all kill your family, 'cause your daddy's drunk and your mommy's smoking crack. Let's give Grandma cardiac. Boom!
Imus in the morning. Scott Mitty here on the Imus in the morning program. So Barney is out in Omaha. Network Newsroom.
I'm David Brinkley, ABC News.
I'm Walter Cronkite. Pretty much just waiting to die, actually.
And I'm Don Imus, radio icon, one of life's predators, feeding on the little people who turn my stomach. First, some news since the Sunday morning papers. A mystery cleared up at the White House where frantic staffers report great relief after finding President Clinton, who had been missing for several hours early today. Presidential spokesperson George Stephanopoulos addressed the White House press corps moments ago.
Well, after what had been an unexplained absence of 3 hours and 15 minutes, the president was located this morning at the rear of the executive mansion, where he had decided to take an unannounced early jog. Now, the president had begun jogging shortly after 3 a.m., and was found at approximately 6 a.m. in the first turn of the first lap of his exercise, after having traveled an estimated 165 feet.
Oh, is he all right?
Well, he's exhausted, but he feels he'll be okay if he lies down a while.
Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary D.D. Meyer says the president will resume his jog later today when his schedule will permit him to block out the 4 to 4.5 hours necessary to complete the lap he began this morning.
In New York, tabloid turbulence continues at the New York Post as the main newspaper struggles for survival. We are joined in our studios this morning by one of the principals in the drama, the 74-year-old real estate mogul Abe Hirschfeld, who finds himself to be a figure of some controversy at the moment. Mr. Hirschfeld, it sucks to see you. We wish you'd had to cancel. You're utterly foul, so sit on the floor and shut up. I think you know George F. Will, Sam Donaldson, Cokie Roberts, all of ABC News, and all of whom hate you as much as I do. Now then, you're 74 years old, a loathsome individual. You don't appear to be healthy at all. Gray, sullen, consumptive, skin blotches all over. What are the chances of you packing it in? Any hope there?
No, not really. People like me seem to have a talent somehow for just hanging on.
Don't bet on it.
And finally, in this week of the wearing of the green, famed Irish superstar flutist James Galway, always looking for ways to broaden the limited scope of the flute, is on a somewhat unorthodox tour of this country in which he experiments with a bold new method of playing his instrument by sticking it up his ass. Galway says that a special high-fiber diet has enabled him to easily blow the instrument, but fingering is a real bitch, requiring 2 mirrors and a back brace. Mr. Galway is on an East Coast swing through the end of the month with a repertoire featuring selections from what he has titled Booty and the Beach.